Good evening, everyone. At this time, I will need an approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, approval by Evan. I need a second. Ashley, are there any discussions? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it is 5 and 2 absent. We want to excuse Ms. Hughes. She is out of town for the next couple of days. I would like to welcome every one of you joining us in person and virtually tonight. We do understand that many parents and community members feel strongly about matters addressed by this board, and we always encourage parents to advocate for the best interest of children. However, please be on notice that school board meetings are for the purpose of conducting school board business. Any action of the public that interfere with or impede the ability of the board to carry out that business will not be tolerated. These actions may include, but are not limited to, speaking out of turn, yelling out, making noises, or body movements which disturb the meeting, or applauding that is not allowed following public comments, but acceptable for student or school achievement, as well as positive and celebratory discussions and occasions. This will serve as your warning. Should an audience member disrupt the meeting, they will be escorted out of this meeting and will be served with a trespass notice for future school board meetings. We appreciate your cooperation to ensure an efficient and effective meeting. And excuse me, I have allergies. Also, as a moment of reflection, I just read something that I thought was interesting, and it's very brief, but it's also very impactful. Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day. This is by Alice Morse Earle, who is an American historian. And at this time, we will pledge the allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And at this time, we would like to turn our attention to Ms. Pat Rayner for our school highlights.
Members of the board, Mr. Pye, it is with great pleasure this evening that we are recognizing one of our exemplary teachers, Miss Amy Baldwin. Amy, we just learned several weeks ago, has been awarded the National 2021-22 Robert and Patricia Kern Teacher of the Year Award for Project Lead the Way instruction across our country. So, Amy, we're so excited. Amy has taught at Oak Brook Middle, for 22 years, and is certainly a leader within our district and within our state, and now certainly within the nation on STEM education. She's inspired and motivated so many students in her years in the classroom. They've earned her the award in recognition of the 2021 South Carolina STEM Teacher of the Year, as well as in 2011, her own district selected her as the Dorchester District 2 Teacher of the Year. She's a leader in every aspect of her life and has motivated students, as I say, academically, but very importantly, personally. So at this time, Ms. Baldwin, would you please bring us some remarks?
All right. Thank you, guys. I cannot begin to express how proud I am to be recognized tonight by the board. I attended a board meeting earlier this year, and I'll be honest, I thought my award would stop right there. When I received the phone call on September the 8th from Dr. Vincent Bertram, the CEO for Project Lead the Way, I almost didn't answer the phone. I was an out-of-town number, you know. But when I received the recognition, I was shocked by receiving the award for the Robert and Patricia Kern National PLTW Award. This award represents all the students who've worked hard in my GT2 program over the last few years. I want to give a big thank you to Ms. Kim Booten, who gave me the original nomination, as well as Jacob Booten and Ashlyn Pomrenke, who wrote the nomination letters that brought me to tears. Growing up in District 2, I am blessed to have had many teachers. Some of them are in this room today. In middle school, I had teachers who realized that I was trying to fit in and encouraged me to be myself and not hide my passion for learning. 20-something years ago, I took my dream job at Oak Brook Middle School, where I found my school family, my home away from home, and where I remain today. These last few years have been really hard on all of us, but my motivation then and today is still my students. My students are the reason I come to school with the goal of helping them to be the better versions of themselves. Over the last eight years, my GTT students and robotics students have inspired me and challenged me to do things head on no matter what. The pandemic has brought us many challenges in our lives that we never dreamed of. Last year, I met some amazing students in our virtual academy and in our classroom. And I tell you, trying to teach virtual PLTW was not an easy feat. Each group of students needed the support in different ways. This motivated me to find ways to encourage them and find their passions. As I represent District 2 on the state and now national level, I will continue to look for ways to help all students reach their full potential. Today is a great day to be recognized because it is the International Day of the Girl. In 2019, my girl-powered movement sparked this train of awards, and I'm happy to say that movement is back and strong again. I've invited all girls in Dorchester District 2, grades 4th through 9th, to be part of our girl-powered movement. They can register and be part of our virtual team event, allowing them to self-pace as this crazy world, we never know what our days are gonna be. Students will be able to select activities that will inspire them to step out of their comfort zone and into the wide world of STEM that is around us. Finally, I just want to take a minute to thank my husband and my son who support my career that I love so very much, for my family who is always willing to lend a hand and do whatever I ask of them, to Mr. Legree, Ms. Cafina, and my OMS family who love and support all my crazy STEM ideas. I thank the District 2 CTE department for their continued support and to help with funding. And I thank you, the board, my school district, my home, and my state for always recognizing good, hardworking teachers and giving us the power to do what is right for the kids. Thank you.
Miss Rayner, can I just say, if I can get this out with my allergies, I remember going to a Dorchester County Economic Development meeting about 5 years ago, and you were just starting this. Mm-hmm. And everybody was going, "Go, girl, I hope it works." And now you are representing us on a national level. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm very proud to be part of the District 2 family and doing anything I can to help these kids succeed.
Thank you, Amy, so much. And I do want to say, beyond our classrooms and the education circles, Amy has been so instrumental in forming major partnerships with local industries such as Bosch, such as Boeing, and getting these engineers and employees within those companies into our classrooms to mentor students. So she has definitely taken STEM to a whole new level. And just FYI, Mr. Pye, Amy, as she's being recognized far and wide, will be recognized Saturday at the University of South Carolina football game for her award.
Wow.
So,
Go Gamecocks. Thank you. Did you want a picture, Pat, or are we good? I figured.
Do we all get together? Do we all just stand close together? Right here? Thank you. Okay, we have no public comment on agenda items, so we will move for the approval of the minutes, and I will need a board approval for the regular meeting of September 27th, 2021.
Second.
Justin Farnsworth and Evan Guthrie. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. 5 and 2 absent. Thank you. And now we have the superintendent's report. Mr. Pye?
Okay, I have several things. Let me get this mic closer. All right. All right. We have been working the past week or two very hard on looking at our South Carolina Ready scores that came back, and we're looking at ACT scores. We're looking at the graduation rate and how that figured out this year, and pros and cons, and delving into all the various aspects of testing and assessment that we have to try to see how well the district navigated during the pandemic. And I'm proud to say that we did better than we thought. Could we have done better? Absolutely. Consider the number of days that we were out and the number of days we had different types of instruction, different to how teachers really would like to teach. And so in spite of that, they did obviously go all out. The teachers had to get the results we have. They had to be extremely efficient, very creative, and had the patience of Job to be able to do what they've done. But the very first thing I'm going to look at is graduation rate has increased each year during COVID-19, 91.4% in 2020, 91.7% in 2021. 0.82 students in the 2021 senior cohort graduated by the end of the junior year. That's 82%. Dorchester 2's dropout rate has remained low. It is below. People get the graduation rate mixed up with the dropout rate. The dropout rate is below 1%, and it's been below 1% since way back 2015, 14, way back there. But look what it was in 2021. It was 0.6%, 0.6%. So that is very low. Well, a lot of our neighbors are at 3 and 4% range. So we're proud of that. College and career readiness, student performance on the Ready to Work assessment remains at pre-COVID-19 performance levels. 68% of the juniors earned silver and above in 2021. In both 2019 and 2020, 11th grade student performance on the ACT remained at near pre-COVID performance levels. And then the 2021 SAT results are not yet available. On the South Carolina report card, college or career readiness indicator, Dorchester 2 outperformed all local and light districts in our category around the state. Approximately 75% of our students are considered to be college or career ready according to the South Carolina standards. And that's after 20 months of COVID type of instruction and the things we had to do in the many months we went without school. Or the school that we know it to be. All right, student achievement K-8. Our performance in ELA surpassed the South Carolina average in all grades. Our performance in math surpassed South Carolina averages in all grades except 6th and 7th. Math is a national concern, a state concern, and has been one of our concerns the last, say, 2 or 3 years, and COVID has done a lot to add even to that, as math is a very difficult subject to teach virtually, and for children not to have the paper pencil exercise they need to do the math calculations, and all that type of practice helps them to delve in and see how it's broken down and how we get to what we get. But look at average, and we were above average in science for 4th grade, 2.8% higher. 6th grade was 2.3% higher. And social studies was not assessed. Dorchester 2 outperformed the majority of the local and light districts in ELA, math, and science across grade levels. Of the districts that were completely face-to-face during the entire time when we were out so much, and we heard a lot of comments from the public about, we weren't face-to-face soon enough and how bad our children were doing, we outperformed them. So we were in school a lot less than they were, but we outperformed them because I got the best teachers and the best principals anywhere. And obviously we had tremendous support from our families because teaching virtually is a strain if children don't have someone sitting with them, keeping them on task working with them, especially our youngest students, our special needs students, and any of our struggling students who already have issues with learning. This only makes it harder for them when they don't have that direct instruction right there with them. All right, high school student performance on the end of course examinations remained above the South Carolina average in all subject areas. We outperformed local and like districts in biology and U.S. history. So I wish that I could say we outperformed everybody in South Carolina, but we haven't done that ever. But we've had some years that we had stellar performances, and so today we spent most of the morning looking, analyzing these scores, and we are very excited and pumped at the district level and are taking it down to the principals and the teachers that we are on a bandwagon to put us back like we were. A lot of catching up. We did a lot of wonderful things in the summer. We're doing lots of things now. But we really do need to continue that pace that we had of being efficient, trying to do two things at one time so that we can get to where we need to be. But it's taking a real toll on our teachers and other staff members as it's asking for a stellar performance, an Academy Award performance, to be able to take all the conditions that are out there and for us to try to overcome those and deal with the everyday things we've always dealt with. But it appears that we're certainly up to the challenge. All right, in 2021, our EL, that's English Language Learners, exited approximately 75 students from the EL program, which is relatively consistent with what our pre-COVID trends, about the same number. Almost 50% of the EL students met their individual learning goals. We outperformed all local and like districts, most of which only have passing rates in the 20s and 30s. We were right at 50. So we were most pleased with that. Is that other? Dorchester 2 has now the 5th lowest per pupil expenditure in South Carolina at $9,181 a student. We are 5th from the bottom. But our test scores, I know our graduation rate was the 8th highest in the state, and that includes the governor's school and all those top districts around the state. So we felt very good that we're in the top 8 out of 79 school districts. But look where we are money-wise. And Anderson 1 is a district I have to shout out to because they're in a like group with us, and they outperform us. They've done it for years. I visited that district several times, and all I can determine is they have very little mobility there. Their teachers stay. They have very little turnover. They grow up there. They stay there. That's their family. And as I told you before, I find it odd, but obviously anything that brings a community together is worth having. And in this case, it's Clemson University football brings Anderson 1 together. Under every American flag, which is in every classroom, there is a picture of the Frank Howard Stadium underneath every flag. So I didn't stay to see the allegiance, but something tells me they do their pledge, and they might actually say something towards Clemson. I don't know. But I asked the teachers, does anybody here, did anybody go to Carolina, another place? And they all looked at me like, why would we? That's what they told me. But in sitting in their rooms, I sit in a lot of our teachers' rooms, I didn't feel they were on the same par with us. So their advantage, they use the same books. They have to have that advantage of family, cohesiveness, of people being together, the families being tight in the community, and they just embrace their school system as the center of learning and the community center of the community. And so those are the things that we need to continue to emulate as we grow large and much larger than them, and that we don't want to lose that small town flavor that certainly brings people together. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry. Oh, sorry about that. I know you mentioned one of the like districts is Anderson 1. Could you kind of tell us what you mean when you say local and like? Local seems a little self-explanatory. but-
Okay. Local is definitely Colleton, Dorchester 4, Charleston, Berkeley, mainly them. Sometimes we throw in Orangeburg and Beaufort and Horry County and Georgetown, but right now that's what we mean by these scores.
Okay.
And the like group are the school districts like us, would be Greenville County is 1, Anderson, it's the largest one, Lancaster's 1, Richland 2. Spartanburg 5, and Anderson 1. And of those, Anderson 1 has always been right there. We beat them a good many things, but generally, if anybody tops us, it's them. Now, this year, Charleston did real well in math, especially in the 6th and 7th grade. And so we shout at them, and naturally, we will be finding out what they did differently.
So is it size-wise? What
No,
factors
it's
are you looking at?
demographics.
Demographics.
Demographics is, because Greenville is the largest district in the state, and Lancaster's kind of small. So it's not, and Anderson 1's on the small side. So that's the main thing. We probably should have explained that. We live and breathe this stuff, but others, I mean, well, what do you mean like us? What do you mean? So, not the same personality, the same demographics, like poverty level and things like that. All right, moving on now. I'm gonna, I think that concludes that piece. I want to talk about the new middle school at Beach Hill, the things going on there. That new school started back in early summer, late spring, and they're pulling walls up as we speak. A lot of brick being laid. It's scheduled to open on August the 8th, 2022 is the target date of completion. It'll open about 2 weeks later. The capacity of the school is being built for approximately 1,000 students. The layout of the school is very much like Ashley Ridge. It's the E design, with the offices down the spine of the E, and each of the other ones, 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade. It's a single story. We have, tonight, Ms. Rayner will be later talking to you about how we want to go about naming the new school on a ballot so the public can help with that process as they've done in the past with all of our other schools. And that will be open from October the 12th to the close of November 19th. And she will share that with you tonight. Once we have the name of the school, we can then apply for our official bed codes number, and then we can really start setting up Power School and really beginning to pull our families together, our staffs together, and we can manipulate things around to try to get the numbers we need to have. We've already begun work on the attendance area things, but it's way too early because we don't have it loaded on Power School. We're having to go through and look at neighborhoods that very well may qualify, and then we're having to put the demographics of those neighborhoods, the number of kids, all on a spreadsheet, and then you probably have 2,000 students, and then you start dwindling down, and we don't want to start the school with 1,000. We certainly want to leave some space there. I would say around 700, give or take a little bit, because that's where the growth is now. Summers Corner, the ponds will most definitely be involved in this mix, and that's where a lot of growth is happening. And of course, they would probably still draw in the Give Hands area, clubhouse, where there's very little growth. But possibly for the future, it's headed that way. So it's only going to get more there. This is just the beginning. No matter what that study said for us, it's probably true for the Oak Brook area. But I think they missed it on the Knightsville area. I do believe we're going to need to be thinking of another elementary school very shortly. Then we're fine with middle, and of course high school's always in the air that we could use another one, but how big is too big? And that's an issue that's out there, so we need to be scouting for property. We do have the property in the ponds that we could put a school there and relieve everything on this side of Knightsville that's getting crowded. We surveyed the 5th graders at Sand Hill, Beach Hill, and the 6th and 7th graders at Gregg and DeVos to determine a mascot for the new school. We've given a bunch of names, and some of the finalists were alligator, pelican, shark, stingray, wolf. Wolf was the final choice by a 2-to-1 margin. So we already know the colors of the school is going to be an orange, a bright orange, not a Clemson orange, a bright orange, like a tangerine orange. And it's going to be deep navy blue. And that's sort of like the older ones in here we may know as James Island colors. And somebody mentioned Hanahan. I'm not sure. I don't remember Hanahan, but sort of that way. But instead of just 2 colors, the committee that's been working on this has chosen to outline the letters throughout the building and other things that we send out, the graphics, was using gray, white, and black. So the trim will change things around. But the wings of the school on the inside are teal, like a sage green, and what was the third one, Miss Ratcliffe here? Do you remember the third color? Yeah, it was a purple, an eggplant kind of color. Now, all of that goes together beautiful, believe it or not, the way they planned to put it. There was a lot of color scheme. They kept coming out wanting more colors. We're going, we're giving the colors. How many colors can you put on this place? But as they broke out the gym and the other areas, you could see where it all made sense in the end of the day. The principal applications went out today. The principal of the school with the qualifications we're looking for. I hope, and I know we're going to have lots of interest within the district, but we hope we'll have interest outside, especially in the Tri-County area. It's a real dream for most administrators to be able to open your own school and develop your own school culture. It's hard to go into something that's already formed. You got to go with the flow for so long, you may not last to turn it around or change it. But this is the chance to build it. Everybody's new in a building. When everybody's new, they all come together as a family, and they're all united, and they want to be together. I know years ago when I opened up Flower Town, it was ironical that I had to call Somerville Elementary for something. I had never called them, so I had no reason. But they were another elementary school, and I was calling them about something. And they answered the phone. They said, "The elementary school." What do you mean, the elementary school? What does that mean? It means we're the best and only elementary school. Well, I got news for you people. You better look out. Flower Town's on the horizon. So I was ugly. We started answering our phone with the elementary school, too. So we just really pushed that "the" out, and it became a friendly rivalry with two wonderful schools. And we certainly, anything we did was a tribute to what we learned from Somerville Elementary. And that's what we do in this district, learn from each other. The board will bring the principal's name to you on December 13th, just before the winter holidays. Teachers then will begin we're doing the attendance series. Hopefully we can start showcasing those to the public in November, 1st to December. I don't want to be too close to Christmas. If we, for whatever reason, are stumbling with that, definitely by January. We won't be out of that by February, because we want teachers to know who their principal is. We want them to know the attendance area, and then we're going to have, naturally, our policy allows volunteers with the most seniority to go first, and then we have to go to the policy in which we do forced transfers. If we can't get them to transfer on their own, then you totally go. And any openings that may still happen would all go to the new schools, so they would get the openings, so that new people to the district would start there, and we would not have to move people from their present school unless it's the last resort. So we feel good about that process. So that's how we're going to try to do the new school, and I think that's pretty well. And what we're doing here with furniture, they're already, new idea does the district's furniture, so we're probably copied the same furniture we had at Rawlings. If there's been any change, we're updating it to whatever the current might be. But we like to have the school district using 2 or 3 types of furniture so we can share if we needed to, and moving things around. So we'll have every school with something different. We try to group schools together so we can share if we needed to. Any questions about the new school? Okay, that's, I'm trying to see if there was one more thing. I think under mine, Ms. Rayner, the vote, yes. I think it's very important for you to tell us now how we're going to name it. So quit saying new school.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Pye. We are excited because whenever we are opening a new school, building a new school in our district, it has always been a tradition within our school district and the wishes of the Board of Trustees to involve the community in this process. This is their school, and it's quite a fun process, and we have widespread participation. The last time we had this exercise, we had over 2,400 submittals of suggested names. So this will go out starting tomorrow, far and wide again, throughout our community and throughout our school family. Will be posted tomorrow morning on our website, a form, electronic form, that is at ddtwo.org/school name, that the participant can just go in, type their suggested name, and then we will tabulate and compile all of those suggestions after the 6-week campaign. On November the 19th will be the last day for submittals, and we will provide a spreadsheet, and it's always been the wishes of the board. They enjoy looking at all submittals, so we give you the spreadsheet of every single name that's been suggested. Of course, there are a lot of duplications, but we're very pleased about this and look forward to promoting it within all areas of our community. And certainly, the main way is to submit the name electronically, but we certainly are open. If people want to call the district office and ask for public information, we will be more than happy to take their suggestions, and we will be managing this. So, as I say, we really look forward to the whole process. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rayner. Mr. Farnsworth, it looks like you have a question.
I did, but I wanted to get through all of that stuff, if you
Okay.
don't mind. So, and going back, Mr. Pye, I just want to say I love hearing the good news tonight, because we got some really good data coming back. The new middle school, so we do have some really exciting stuff going on in the district. Going back to the highlights of the data, I just want to kind of say it's certainly a testament, I think, to both you as well as your team and our district and our teachers and our educators, and what they've been able to do the past year, the culture that I think, I say we've built, but that, again, that's a testament to what you've built, a lot of it, as well as your leadership team over decades, has come to fruition.
You don't have to say decades.
44 years, something like that.
That's decades. Huh?
It's been just a minute. All that said, there was one piece of data, and I hope we have it, because I think it would be good to highlight it. The dual credit program, so the number of kids that got their associate's degrees. Do we know what that was for last year?
Yeah, I pretty well know that number, but I don't recall it. It's usually about 45 to 50%, right at the mid-range. From the ones that started,
So let's say 50, maybe 45 to 50 kids that got their associate's degrees while they're in high school. That's pretty amazing, and didn't have to pay anything
nothing.
for those courses. And
2 years of college paid for.
2 years of college paid for. That's just unbelievable. And then the last bit that I think we want to definitely highlight, I think about some of the partnerships that we've been able to put in place, especially on the career and technology side. For the past few years, you think about the Boeings and the Bosches and Volvo coming in, Scout Boats, Trident Tech. I was over at the new Trident Tech Dorchester campus a few weeks ago, chatting with one of their HVAC instructors, and there is a direct path for our Dorchester District 2 kids to go from DD2 into HVAC coursework at Trident Tech. And we're not talking a lot of coursework. We're talking a few hours of courses in the HVAC studies, and they're making $21 plus an hour, just like that, and that's without a degree. So again, they're those partnerships. I just want to make sure we're always highlighting that stuff, because that's really good as well. So, but again, thank you for all you do, and I'm just happy to be a part of DD2.
Team Dorchester. Thank you.
Okay, if anybody else has any more questions for Ms. Rayner or Mr. Pye, then we're going to move on to our personnel report, and in your packets you have the names of those, and we need to approve the resignations and recommendations for 2021 and 2022. So I will need a motion for that.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Guthrie, do I hear a second? Mr. Mitchum. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, so it's 5 and 2. All right, at this time, excuse me again, we will have public comment, and the first person that I have is John, is it Gassion Jr.? I hope I said that correctly.
Pretty close, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first, good evening. I'd like to address a couple of things. The board, over the past few weeks, you guys have obviously been dealing with a lot of issues, mostly masks, unmasks. We had a board member that was obviously punished and relieved by the governor. What I'd like to know with that situation is if we're going to punish on the school board, then where is the punishment for the anonymous comments that were made about that board member to the press that said thought that she was not of sound mind to continue with her position? I think if you're going to punish one, you should punish everybody equally, just like we do our kids. So if that person's out there and has the fortitude to stand up and say, look, I did it, maybe they should do that. Put a little trust back. Second, I've been trying to submit for the book buying policy and finding out that I submitted a Freedom of Information Act on the 27th of August. Was never picked up from the Somerville office, signed by anybody from the district or the superintendent's office, so I bought one to hand to you, Mr. Pye, and to Gail. So I don't know who, because Gail's not here, that we can get that too, so I can get that, because I first spoke about that on June 9th, was told that I would be hearing from somebody. It's kind of that, be quiet, we'll take your name, make you feel good, go out the door. That's how I feel. I'm sure there's other people here that feel the same way, but it's lip service. It's quick, fast, get them out, let them go, maybe they'll go away. Well, I'm not going to go away. My daughter is in this school. I would like to say to the Newington faculty, I appreciate everything they do. They work really hard, so it's nothing with them. We are trying to be the best district in this area. So there's another thing I'd like to bring up. I've heard time and time again that we do not teach CRT, that no matter what name it comes out. Well, I would like to request for this board to maybe stand up and put a policy in that District 2 is not going to do this. I mean, why do we have to be always reactive in this district? Seems like we're always waiting for something to blow up and then we react. It's not the way you run something. You be proactive. You take what these parents say, what we all have to say, all your employees, we take that in and then we act before it becomes a big problem, and we have the problems we've had in these board meetings for the past few weeks with unruly people or threats being made to the board. So I would ask that that be addressed as well, and I would like to hear back from somebody this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Lett.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Lett. My daughter is a first grader at Eugene Sayers. Bullying has been an ongoing issue from last year on to this year as well. We thought it was a bus transportation problem, so we took her off the school bus. Come to find out, it's not a school bus problem. This it's bullying altogether inside the schools. No. Back to what I was saying, though. Bullying inside your schools is outrageous, and it needs to be stopped. My child is 6 years old. She does not eat. She's isolating herself. We've had to pick up more therapy times. I've reached out, had many of meetings with the principal and assistant principals, both of them. I've contacted the school board. I've not received phone calls back. Have gotten some help from some people, but the bullying issue, it's got to stop. It's not just being bullied on the school bus, it's what the kids are saying inside the schools. I have to send my child to school with a cell phone for her own safety and for her to feel safe inside the schools. That's not fair for a 6-year-old child to not feel safe inside of a school. There's not any adults that she can go to that she feels safe to. There's only probably 2 or 3 of them that she trusts. I'm tired of when I have a meeting with the principal, she tells me what I want to hear so I can just be gone. I'm here, and I'm the biggest advocate, and I will always be the biggest advocate for my child. Something needs to be done. I've gave pamphlets out for Bikers Against Bullies. I've gotten told no about that. If Bikers Against Bullies cannot step in and do something and have a talk with these children, I do not understand why the principal cannot address it to all the children or the SOR cop. Because something needs to be done because children hurt themselves and take their lives daily because of bullying. And it's not just kids being physically hit or anything, it's words as well. And I have a lot of proof, but I don't have enough time. But bullying, we need to start addressing that factor. That's it.
Thank you very much. Okay, next we have Miss Jordan Hall.
I would like to start off with something that Ronald Reagan stated on National Day of Prayer proclamation. While never willing to bow down to a tyrant or our forefathers were always willing to get to their knees before God when catastrophe threatened, they turned to God for deliverance. Our prayer needs to be brought back here, not a moment of reflection, our prayer. We need to remember that we don't live in a secular state. We live in a nation where the government was guarded from meddling with the free expression of worship of a faithful people. This is the first clause of the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. I would also like to remind y'all of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I just want to state to all that today this board was served with a cease and desist letter. And in it, it states that we will demand the stop of ongoing abuse and that it's specifically for the systemic overreach of government incompetence, mainly because of this board and because of what you allow to happen.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Kristen Blasco.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Blasco, and my child is on the Ashley Ridge High School Marching Band. I received an email from Ms. Melvin, she's the band director there, regarding the school district pulling all high school bands from the state competition. Then I spent all Saturday with these kids at a band competition that we were allowed to go to. And I'll let you know there's a lot of very upset parents and kids because you make them feel like they're not good enough to go. Those same kids got a superior rating in 3rd place at that competition. They all work extremely hard, being there 4 days a week, plus all the games, Saturday practices, and they're just as good as any other sport, football, baseball, any of the sports we offer, cross country. Because of the COVID restrictions and the few days that we had off, are you not allowing them to go to state too? Because it's not right to do that to these kids. They work so hard. All you're teaching them is that, you know what, if we don't think you're good enough, we're not going to let you go. And they put that effort in, and they deserve the right to be there. This district competition, inter-district between the 3 schools, doesn't allow them to learn what competitiveness is. You know what, sometimes you're not good enough, but you have to learn that that is how the world works, and you need to learn that you have to accept that you have to work harder. But just telling these kids aren't good enough isn't right.
Ma'am, board
wanna
members are
clarify.
not allowed to respond, but Mr. Pye is.
I've got to respond. First of all, the school board has nothing to do with this decision. Neither do I nor my district office. The 3 high schools made this decision with their band directors, and obviously we felt with their support of their students and their parents. So this is, I've heard from one other parent, you the second one. So, and this has been going on a week or two. So I am very concerned about them not going either, but it has nothing to do with COVID. And I'm going to make sure you understand.
Ms. Melvin directly told all of us parents, they do want to go. We're still on the schedule to go. All we need is your permission to go.
Well, they have my permission. It's up to the, but it's the principal, Mrs., I hate to make this a thing, but it needs to be addressed because I'm very concerned about her, what she's hearing, what she's feeling. And it's not against you. I'm just, you know,
Well, and we're getting 2 stories.
we don't need this, but I'm giving you the right story. Miss Karen, would you please address this, because the lady says that Ashley Ridge wants to go, they're all wanting to go, parents and kids, then why are they not going? I want them to go tomorrow morning. I'm tired of this. We shouldn't be pulling anybody from anything. If this was something where everybody came together and thought it was in the best interest of the band, that's what we always do. It's a team thing. It's like football and basketball and baseball, and we pull them only for COVID things. We don't get, trust me, I learned a long time ago not to get mixed up in extracurricular activities, because you can't win in that. Playing time and all the, who's the coach and who does this and that, you can't win in those kind of battles. But in this particular case, this does affect all 3 high school bands, and the word to me was this was a joint decision and everybody felt comfortable making it. And and you may be the only 2 parents that I've heard from, but I believe what you're telling me and I see the passion here in your voice and I'm concerned. I will check this out, trust me, in the morning.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's sit down.
Mr. Jason Brockett?
It's true, I can't have that. We need to call football.
Good evening, DD2 Board and Mr. Pye. Well, obviously what was not on the agenda today was masks. So one of the things that really struck me at the last meeting was the survey was sent out. It was way too late. I'd been personally asking for a survey for months. And the feedback came back. And Mr. Pye, you just said that you want to listen to what people want to do, but 75% of the educators that responded said that they support it. 72% of the parents said they support it. So that was a pretty clear statement. I understand our hands are tied. I also understand that Charleston just extended their mask requirements for another 30 days this afternoon. So their hands aren't tied. I fail to see the difference. I know that there's things behind the scenes that I'm not privy to, that we're not privy to. I get that. I feel for that. I do. One of the things that was repeated was that your administration asking for support to try to alleviate what was going on in the schools. And I get, we're on the downslide now too, so that's great, but it's not time to relax, because what about the next spike? So when I said it's not about whether or not it has to happen right now, it was already too late. It's about setting precedent for the next time. And we're ignoring it. We're not setting precedent for the next time. So your administration said vehemently that they would stand behind you 300% for whatever you decided you wanted to do. That means they would take the hard road. And the discussion that happened was, it's just too much of a hard road. There are too many hurdles. It was very disappointing. Well, I happened to get with some folks in a group, and I co-authored an op-ed that went into the Post and Courier. what was interesting is some other person decided to take time out of their day to look up my address and send me a bunch of articles about why masks are bad. And this is what a bunch of people believe. I can't even fathom how to respond to this. It's partisan rhetoric. It's cherry-picked science. So when you say we don't know if masks are good or masks are bad, it's about reducing the chances. It's not about you can slap a thing on your face and magically now you're COVID-free. It's about every mitigation strategy you can put, when it needs to be put there, when it's appropriate to do it. And just because we're on the downside now, it's not too late. There's still work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other business, and again, I apologize for my voice, let's make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Evan made the motion. Do we have a second? Ms. Ashley Wimberly, all those in favor, raise your hand. 5 and 2 absent. Thank you, and thank you for coming this evening.
Yeah, I don't understand. Who's singing out with the cancer? They moved them down a couple of weeks. Was it dividing?